All right. Well, we're back down in the basement in Coal Corner here. And today I'm going to just kind of update. I made two previous videos about how my experience is going with burning anthracite coal in this potbelly here, heating the bulk majority of my house now for the winter with it. But it's been kind of warm out lately. It's kind of mid-February now. We had our, fall spring here in the middle of February. And I'm looking to update what I've kind of had my experience already with this thing and kind of bring you in on some of the stuff that I've learned since a year ago. And actually something that came up in one of the comments that somebody left was, you're overcomplicating it the way I'm lighting it. Why don't you just use some charcoal? So today I'm going to light it with charcoal. I've done it a couple times. It's really pretty painless. It's kind of no-brainer. And oh, look at that. Free string. And let's get into it. So the stove is out cold. It's been out for a couple days now. And open it up and look in here. So I did shake it down previous to this video now. So let me get you a good look in what's going on in there. So that's how it ends up at. It's already been shaken down. That's just pretty much, the coal that was unburnt after it blew itself out just from not being attended to. And shook it all out, ashes dumped. And there's just enough to cover the grate. You can see kind of the hole going down to the fire pan over in that far corner over there. And there's still like a chunk of ash over here, kind of yellow-white looking. And so that's what we're going to work right on top of. We're not going to pull that out of the stove. There's no real need. Get you set back up here. Get the view. Okay, looks good. And so I think everybody in this world knows how to light charcoal. But for sake of the video, there it is. It's just regular old, store-bought, nothing special charcoal. You think you're going to cook with it. So I'm going to throw in, you saw the pail was roughly full to the level in here. And throw some in, probably about a third of the pail. I put even a little bit extra in there. That's more than I would normally need now that I'm talking while I'm doing it. And we'll get you another view of what's going on. So it's piled up on the door side here, much deeper than it is in the back. I'm actually going to pull that forward. So let me get in there and do that. So just bear with me for just a moment here. And I'm going to get in here and just kind of pull it back up. And some light. So now it's all kind of deep on this side. And, light and charcoal, you want to pile it first, and we'll spread it out after it gets lit and gets going. All right. Get you set back up here again. And there we go. All right. So I'm not going to use any of the lighter fluids. I guess you could use lighter fluid if you like, but I'm just going to light a couple spots down in here with the propane torch. Get a few spots that are red hot and get them going. So there's one spot. It's kind of got some red in it now. Get another spot going over here. So usually, I don't know, 3 spots, and here again, I might be overcomplicating it. You could probably light one spot and it'll spread. I'm sure it would. Fire's good at that. And get another. That's the second spot. Get a third one going here. And then I guess it's put some time on the clock. And I'll spend a little bit talking about some stuff while this gets itself going. And okay. Turned red almost the second I got near it. So, all right. Let's give it a little air from the bottom. And, yep, there's heat coming out. Heat coming out in all 3 spots. This spot, I don't know. Maybe not here. Okay, well, it's just barely glowing red in there now, so there's nothing really to see. But you close it up, and all the regular rules still apply here. Air in the bottom, door closed, damper up in the stack is open. One of the questions I got in the comments is, do I have a draftostat and yes, there is. It's out of sight, back where it goes vertical and goes up into my masonry chimney up there. So yeah, that is something that you want to have in the system, from what I understand. Some improvements I've made since last year down here is I got a coal hopper here. So I took half of my basement stairwell, put a wall in there, and behind this is, I got 1.5 tons of coal in half the stairwell. So that's, I think that's, it's almost tripping over my tongue here. I'm trying to do this without edits. So since last year, I made a couple improvements. I sectioned off half of my basement stairwell, and I filled it with coal, and it working pretty good. Got 3,000 pounds of coal in there this season. And here's where it comes out. It feeds out the bottom. It hasn't clogged up yet. And also, I've changed where I bought my coal. We have, luckily, and I have a coal yard one way in one town and a coal yard the other way in the other town, both neighboring towns. So it works out really well for me. Went back to the place I bought my coal last year from. They didn't have the stove-sized coal in stock, and I was, in fact, out because I used up the leftover from last year, and I had nothing, and it was getting cold, so I said, well, let me call around and see who's got what. Turns out, called the other place up there, like, we don't have stove-sized coal, but we've got kind of a oversized chestnut coal. It's got some bigger pieces in it. A lot of people are real happy with it. So, they're selling their products, so I said, let me go grab a bucket full from them, and machine bucket full, so a couple 100 pounds. Came back, put that in the stove, real happy with the way it ran. Burnt real nice. So quality of coal for a minute. And I don't know that much about it, but I got a little bit of experience with it now. I was getting stove coal, and maybe it made a lot of ash or something. The ash is very different between the coal from one yard that I got and the coal from this other yard. In one case, I was always, in the last video, I was all concerned about how it would plug the airflow through the stove. And it's the ash that it was making, whether it was coming off in flakes or dust or whatever it was doing, it was definitely falling down, but not falling through and choking the stove up and keeping it from getting air. This coal I've got now seems much less ashy, or I don't know how to describe it. The stove doesn't seem to plug up anywhere as near as bad from ash. So it seems to more go out from lack of fuel. Like by the time it actually goes out, it's kind of burnt through its whole load of fuel. So what I mentioned previously was when I'm running the stove hard, when the winter's cold, I was having to service it like 3 times a day. And I was putting in like one of these hods 3 times a day when I was running it with as much air as the bottom door would let in. This season now, I can have that air wide open, and I still only have to service it twice a day. You got to be pretty punctual. It doesn't last much more than 12 hours, but you can get a full 12 out of it. And when I put the coal in there, I'm putting like 1.5 of these in there, so it's still using the same amount of coal, I guess, because it's taking the same amount of air. I haven't adjusted the draftostat, and when the door is wide open, so same amount of air, same amount of burn, I'm supposing. But the coal is very different. That coal would plug up and choke itself out after 8 hours. This coal is not. So I'm a lot happier. This is a little bit smaller, but that was the reason why I went to the bigger coal originally. I figured I wasn't getting enough air through it because it was choking up with ash. So I went to the bigger coal, the stove-sized coal, to mitigate that. And this season, this has been working out absolutely great. A lot less frustrating to deal with. And I can almost say it's going to go out because I did something wrong. Not like last year, it just seemed to be like, it went out. I thought I did it right. I guess I didn't get it right. So there's definitely, like, the frustration level that you have if you're messing with this stuff is definitely somewhat related to the quality of coal that you get. And there was some rumors around, this is going back 7 or 8 years when my buddies were heating with coal. And they didn't get good. They got some crap that they were complaining about clinker and unburnt pieces, and they were hemming and hawing about it basically. And then the rumor mill had it that, well, they weren't really mining it that much. They were going through the old piles of coal, all the cast off and the things that the pickers picked out, and you're kind of getting that rescreened and processed where they're taking the shale out, but the coal that was used to be considered marginal that ended up in that pile decades ago was now getting taken out and sold as, you know, coal, but it's really kind of a second-rate product. But that's just a rumor mill. I have nothing to back that up. That was just seeing what people are talking about. Let's see what we got in here. All right, we definitely got 2 pockets of heat going. I think that third one's got a little heat in it there if I block the light. So that's got to sit a little bit. And so something I'll show you how this works, at least while we're waiting, is I got a regular old dustpan, and it works great. I got this tray underneath here to sometimes stuff falls out. I'd rather not sweep it up, I'd rather have it in a pan. So try and keep it neat as you can. And this goes in like that. Get a nice scoop like that, and it goes. And this will just keep feeding, coming right out of there. Nicely. There we go. One more of them in there. And so just to also talk about this charcoal lighting method is that you don't have to spend time cutting up wood or messing with a fire. If you don't mind buying things, you buy the charcoal and it goes pretty smoothly. Let's show you the outside of this hopper here. So I can these boards are just set in here with a few screws, as you see. So I can just kind of pop these out and throw them off to the side here. And you'll see, that's what's going on in there. And there's the bottom of the door outside. A low spot, and this has been feeding absolutely great all season now. So I have no complaints. I highly suggest if you are going to burn coal to get yourself some kind of, or build yourself, you ain't going to get nothing, but build yourself a something similar that kind of takes the handling out of it, because I'll tell you for sure, carrying bags and sacks of coal in the house does get old. You know, whatever it is there, we figured out the weight last time, and it adds up. So now I just got to carry the ash out, and I'm figuring for next season, I want to get an ash system going. If I get there, I'll be sure to show you. But for next season, I'd like to have something where, like, I take the ash out of the stove, I put it in the pan, so that way it cools in the stove, and then it cools in the pan. And I got like a vacuum hose. I think I can handle it with some suction, and put one of them like cyclone separators outside on top of a drum or something like that. And we'll see what it gets into. It's just still early thinking stages yet on that. But I'm trying to make this as easy and as little effort to do as possible on my part. Other thing is now that this coal's been treating me better, I don't spend anywhere near the amount of time servicing this thing. Last time on the service videos, I'm in there digging in the coal and flipping it over and just trying to get that damn ash to get down through the grate and get more airspace in it. This, I just rotate the shaker, I mean, you still got to shake it quite a bit, but it comes out just fine. And I'm not down in there with the slicers and the pokers trying to get air to come through this thing. And I rarely have to floss the grate at all. Unless, I mean, you know, there's always a chance to get some clinker. But, all right, this is starting to spread some heat in there. But it's going to take a minute, so I'll be right back. See you in a minute. Wait a minute. Let's put some gloves on. So, these are handy. I bought some extra long sleeve welding gloves, and these do a really nice job of keeping you from getting all the burns I was getting early in the season, because I was being a little ignorant about how to deal with the stove. And like, let's see, whoop. Can't work with them, can't work without them. But yeah, like, and you know, you get some marks on you when you're farting around with red hot metal and do it at work all the time. And I'm foolish enough to do it at home too. And so, got to learn the hard way. That's the way people learn, and I'm no different than most. And so there we go. That's a little bit better. So something that I end up doing a lot of times when I pour the coal in through the top, I go right in there and I kind of give it the old smoothing out job. And I was going in past the glove, and then once in a while you get a little ignorant and you touch something, and that's how I was getting all them marks on me. And so tall gloves, highly recommended. And it was last year. You remember I was using the old Hitachi gloves here, and they ain't got no insulation on the back side of them, or leather, or even at all. It's kind of a plastic, and definitely I knew I could do better. So for a couple bucks, this is the answer. Let's get get a good look in here now this time. So there we go. I'd say 3/4 of that charcoal is now burning. Got real heat in it, and it's doing its thing. So, and I don't know how long it's been. I'm not really watching the clock for this. So let's get a poking tool here. I choose you. So let's get in there and just kick this stuff and spread it out. Get a, sorry about the framing. Get to kick this around and get it spread out in there, and so they can all catch their neighbors up. And looks like we got a pretty decent layer. The only thing I have noticed about the charcoal is now we got it spread out, and it's flat in there. And close it back up. I'll put you back where you go, and get rid of you. Okay. Who knew? An old crappy, cracked, can't use it stove is a great stand to keep the tools on. And where's it going with that now? Lose train of thought, but what else is new? That's the thing. When you spread that charcoal out in there, the charcoal has a lot of volume, and it turns into like nothing once it burns. You know, charcoal ash is like you blow it away. There ain't nothing to it. So the only thing is like the first. If I like this with the hardwood. Through that process that we saw in the first video, you keep adding in, and by the time it's full, you're done. Go ahead, go about your business. The one thing I notice about lighting it with charcoal is that, so once this is good and hot and spread out in there, whoop, you fill it right up. You don't have to even look, you ain't got to think about it. It's pretty foolproof in my opinion. You throw the coal in, and it ain't even worth looking at it for another couple hours, because it's just going to look like black coal in there while the heat finally works its way up through and gets everything lit. So, but the issue is that, like, you didn't, there's a 2-inch thick layer of charcoal that's going to turn into effectively nothing. So the whole pot drops down, so you don't get 12 hours out of the first light when you use charcoal. So it's something that, like, once the charcoal's gone, like, hour and a half, 2 hours later, maybe 3 hours, I don't know, I'm not timing it. But, excuse me, the same evening you get it going, or that day, just take a peek in there, and you'll see it's down a little bit, top her off, and then you're good to go, and then you can get back on your twice-a-day schedule. And, like I said, everything's got its advantages and disadvantages. More than one way to skin a cat. And, honestly, I've been lighting it with charcoal lately because I don't feel like dealing with cutting up pallets or finding pallets. My old job, we used to get pallets in there. There's another thing. Speaking of pallets are hardwood. They're, whatever, some kind of hardwood. I don't know damn shit about trees. So, but I had a bunch of lumber left over from something I was doing outside, a whole bunch of 2x4s and 1 5/4 and all kinds of crap. I chopped it all up into nothing but chunks. I was like, this is going to work good. Chunks to the point where I could just pour it in there, and I was like, I got a new way to start fires without having to, just had a whole mound of the stuff. When I fed it in there, got it all hot, made it all down to embers, put coal on top of it, wouldn't light it. And that's this coal that seems to be a little better than the other stuff. Like, it just went out. I'm like, what the heck is with that? thought about it. I did it again. Next night, came down, loaded up with wood again, but it's softwood. The lumber is softwood. It was pine or some kind of pine or spruce or something, I don't know, Douglas fir, whatever, Home Depot's finest. And put that in there, and same results. Didn't light again. So that's honestly, I was like, well, I didn't have pallets, so that's when I went out and got a bag of charcoal from the barbecue supplies, and found out how good that really works. So ain't YouTube a great thing where you get, I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm just figuring this out, and I'm sharing it with you because everybody's got to figure it out if you want to try something new, and unless you got somebody to show you, and ain't it great that people can write comments and tell me something that I don't know all the time? So it's kind of cool. And let's see what it looks like. Oh, baby, look at that. Okay, let's get you a nice look in there too. So you see what I'm looking at. And I mean, if you want to start a fire, come on, look at that. It almost looks like when it's regular coal burning in there. And somebody also did ask somewhere along the lines of comments, could you just burn charcoal in it? Well, there's your answer. It burns pretty nice, but I never tried filling it right up with charcoal. Maybe who knows? Maybe if I start playing with this and I want to show off what I'm playing with, I'll mess around with that. But yeah, it's there. There's a red hot fire in it. So we're gonna close the front and we're gonna open up the top. Let's get, uh-oh, the tool is gone. Where did the tool for the top go? Oh boy. Let's see. Oh, there it is. When I flung that old glove over here out of frame, I booted the tool I need off the top of that defunct stove. All right, let's go. Oh man, I want to make some food with the way that smells. It smells like I'm gonna having people over some burgers or something. So, all right. So. Probably good for now. I have before just completely just dumped the entire hod in there and been like, I'm good. But that was before I realized how much it settles after that stuff burns out. Let me get this closed up because, like I said, same rules as the first video apply. You get two things open at once. Air in here, not enough suction, it's coming out here. You end up with fumes in the house. This don't stink because it's charcoal. It kind of smells good, but when this coal's getting lit, it definitely smells a little sulfury. But what was I saying before I got brain distracted there? Oh, yeah. Before I knew about it settling, I was like, well, let me just try and fill it right up. I filled it right up, and it was good. But I know I have to come back here in like, I don't know, a little while, 2 hours, 3 hours, just to top it off anyway. So it's got half a thing of, coal in there right now. It's about here. So we had charcoal up like that, and now it's up, halfway, and not much to do really. I mean, there ain't much to show off now. It looks like just a pile of coal in there. So let's take a break. I'm gonna have a beer, and when I get back to doing this, I'll get back with you. And it won't be any time for you at all, but for me it's going to be an hour or two, 3 hours, who knows. Yeah, there we go. Okay, it's only been a couple minutes, but figure I'd get in here to give you a little show. So we can still see that red heat down in underneath. I'll block the light down in underneath the coal. That's obviously charcoal. And if I shut up for a minute, listen. Snap, crackle, pop, even a little poof, poof, poof here and there of some flames. So we know we're well on our way. That is definitely not going to blow out now. We're in good shape. And also you realize I'm filming on a phone. You can't use your phone when you got thick gloves on, so end up using my darn nose to get it on and off here. So yeah, having a good time tonight, and like I said, now it'll be a couple hours. So all right, we'll be back. So, boy, ain't it funny how shooting video make a damn liar out of you. You talk all this stuff, and like, oh, I'll be back in a couple hours. Here we are. This is 15 minutes from the last time I hit record on that last little clip. And by golly, look at that. You couldn't put that out with water if you tried now. So, I guess I could just top it up and probably be done with this. And I think our neighbor's going to come over and probably shoot the shit the rest of the night here and have a good time. So I think I'm going to top her off right now, and that's about the end of that. So maybe I'll see you in a year. Maybe I'll see you next week. I don't know. I'm having fun with this crap. Have a good night. Catch you next time. All right. Same fire. More. In other news, coal stoves work really good for drying out soil samples. If you play with dirt, soil samples are a handy thing to kind of know what you're dealing with. But here we go, get this guy all kind of flattened out. A little over full right now because I know it's going to settle. So we gave her just a little extra, So there we go. See this thing at about 8 o'clock in the morning. All right. Already thought this video will probably be over, I think, for the third time now. So I'm not even going to sign off this time. It ain't even worth it. But it's just about 1 in the morning. This has been lit about 4.5 hours, 5.5 hours now, something like that. And that settling I was talking about, I just want to show you that settling. So I open it up. The coal is, I go right in there. This was up halfway up that door when I put that last fill in there. So give you a good look here. But there it is. You got that beautiful pale blue carbon monoxide flame going in there, and like the heat ain't even made it up where the top coals are really lit yet. But that's that settling I was saying. We're 4 hours in, and that entire pot dropped, probably 2 inches from the charcoal, and it would have normally dropped an inch by now just from the regular coal burning. But there you go. Have fun.